Welcome back to my channel. My name's Jack, and after the mild success of my previous video, How Sony Ruined Venom, I decided to do a sequel. This is How Sony Ruined Carnage. This tale begins before the release of this movie. To understand this, we have to take a trip back to the year 2007. If you've ever wondered why Spider-Man 3 isn't considered to be a good movie by most casual movie watchers, then turn your attention to this man, Avi Arad. This man, in my opinion, I've never met the guy, but from what I've seen, he's like a parasite on the Spider-Man franchise, and part of the reason the Marvel licenses were split up across various studios. If you've ever watched one of the 90s Marvel cartoons or even a Marvel movie from the early 2000s, then no doubt you've seen his name on the credits. In 1996, Marvel went bankrupt, and the only way for Marvel to stay alive was to sell off the movie rights to some of its famous characters. Surprisingly enough, Sony had the opportunity to purchase all of these characters in one swoop for the low price of $25 million. You see, most Avengers movies are cracking $1 billion. However, for some unknown reason, they only paid $10 million for Spider-Man. I don't know about you, but if you're telling me I could get access to all of Marvel's famous characters like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four for $25 million, I would absolutely make that deal even if those characters sat on the back burner. Shortly after Avi helped facilitate this deal, he would jump ship to Sony, who would continue to own the character until present day. At first, things seemed to be going okay. Sam Raimi was brought on in the early 2000s, and we were just getting started into a new era of superhero movies. Spider-Man 1 and 2 were the biggest movies that started my interest in the character, but there was a brief time between ages 4 and 7 that I was interested in a very particular area in the Spider-Man lore. That was the symbiote suit. To put things into perspective, I was born in 2000, and in that time where there wasn't a new Spider-Man movie, my dad had introduced me to the black suit Spider-Man from the animated series. It was here that my knowledge of symbiote lore began and continues to this day. When the movie came out, I was 7 and I didn't know what a bad movie was. I just saw the black suit Spider-Man and Venom and I thought that it was the coolest thing ever. But now I'm an adult and I know what I don't like about this movie, and what I especially don't like about the Venom movies. I think Spider-Man 3 is okay, and when it's good, it's great, but it does have issues. But back to the original question. The reason why Venom in Spider-Man 3 feels like an afterthought is because of Avi Arad. Avi forced Sam Raimi to put him in the movie. Sam has gone out on record and said this.
What's been the most challenging project for you?
The most challenging project was each and every one of those Spider-Man movies were pretty damn challenging. Dragged me to hell. I was on familiar ground, like you mentioned. It's a simple horror film. There wasn't a lot of pressure. I love playing in horror, but working in that big budget arena with so much at stake, with much beloved characters that Stan Lee created, and people really hold them so dear to them that you don't want to mess up. And I messed up plenty with the third Spider-Man. So people, hated me for years. They still hate me.
They give you shit for that?
All the time. Yeah.
Why? What do they say?
We hate you.
Just a non-specific.
I wouldn't read into that too much. Yeah, you're just kind of trying to dig in, and I wouldn't think about it.
What do you think they're being?
Don't unpack that. Don't unpack it.
Just a movie that didn't work very well. Had a lot of. I tried to make it work, but didn't really believe in all the characters, and so that can't be hidden from people who love Spider-Man. If a director doesn't love something, it's wrong of them to make it.
Bingo. He didn't really believe in all the characters. I don't blame Sam for this, but I 100% blame Avi, and this is where the red flags start. 3 days after Venom 1 came out, talks of Venom 2 began, and Avi Arad was asked about Carnage. This is what he had to say. When you hear Carnage, the only thing you can think of is R, but if you know his story, if you really know the comic, there's no R here. He's a tortured soul. It's not about what he does, because we never have to show the knife going from here to there, and the blood is pouring. What you have to show is, what is the motivation? Was he born like that? Or is he someone we should feel for? Because if you succeeding in making a villain someone you can feel for, jackpot. Yeah, I don't know why he's quoted weirdly there. Bruh. Carnage is one of the few Marvel characters you should have absolutely no sympathy for. He's not a tortured soul. There is no motivation. He is pure evil, and that's all he ever has to be. He's like most adaptations of the Joker. No rhyme, no reason.
Guess I could say you asked for this, Redman.
There it is. That's the one. Wow, I really left all this out of order, didn't I? Aha! Alright, so after some digging and panicking of trying to figure out where all my comic books went, at least the ones that I care about, found out that they were in a box at the base of my bed, and they're kind of holding my bed in place. Here they are. All right, so this is where my symbiote knowledge began. I only have a copy of Secret Wars number 3, and it is completely covered in black mold, as you can see. And then I got a copy of Secret Wars number 8. That is one of my most prized possessions. I'm also after that Amazing Spider-Man variant with the black suit. It looks like that, except it's a black suit. Web of Spider-Man, number 1. That's where he gets rid of the black suit. And then I have a 3D copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300. And then the character we're going to be talking about today, Carnage. I have his first full appearance. And this is only a small portion of the Venom storylines I have collected throughout the years. As you can see, I'm a very big Venom fan. I will go after pretty much any time there is a new symbiote host. So Flash Thompson, that's pretty much when his run starts right there. I don't know if this is his first appearance as Anti-Venom, because this is 654.1. I don't know how that works, but I'm pretty sure this is his first actual comic, and he, for a while, he wasn't my favorite Venom, but then he grew on me. Flash Thompson really, he grows on you as a character. But as you can see, I've got some Toxin comics here, and Venom and Carnage, which is where Toxin first appears. I'm missing number 4, though. And then New Ways to Die, which is where Anti-Venom first appears. But like I said earlier, the character we're going to be talking about today is Carnage. Yep. So let me pick this up. Yep. Amazing Spider-Man 361. If there's any useless information that I have stored up in my brain, it's symbiote lore. I've explained in previous videos that Venom is probably my favorite Marvel creation ever. It pains me to see his big screen treatment handled so poorly. But what of the son of Venom, the famous Carnage? Carnage is arguably as popular as Venom. What makes Carnage unique is his talent for anarchy, chaos, and obviously Carnage itself. I've heard some refer to the Green Goblin as Marvel's Joker, but the Goblin most of the time has some sort of purpose, whereas Carnage has simply been kill as much as possible. So how does this film handle Carnage? Well, the answer is surprisingly better than the way they handled Venom, but not by much. In the comics, our deranged serial killer, Cletus Cassidy, is Eddie Brock's cellmate. At some point, Eddie Brock regains the symbiote and breaks out of prison, but not before leaving a piece of the symbiote behind. This piece of symbiote bonds with Cletus through his bloodstream, hence the red color. This makes Cletus famously hard or impossible to separate from his symbiote. When they bond, they achieve true symbiosis. There is little to no conflict between Cletus and the symbiote because they both have the same goal in mind: kill everything. Another piece of symbiote lore is that symbiote offspring are always more powerful than their parents. This is interesting because even though Venom is the more experienced and the bigger built symbiote in the comics, Carnage remains more powerful and he has the ability to morph his hands into weapons. Sony jumped the gun by giving this ability to the Riot symbiote in the previous movie. Also in the comics, Riot is one of the spawns of Venom, but he doesn't have that ability. That ability is unique to Carnage. I said in the previous video that you can't make a Venom movie without Spider-Man, but Sony had the unique opportunity to make a Venom movie with Carnage. I believe it's possible to do that because unlike Venom, Carnage isn't as pivotal to Spider-Man. If you ask me, Carnage has been at odds with Venom more than he has Spider-Man, so where did things go wrong? Well, at first things seem to be going well. Cletus takes a bite out of Eddie's finger, revealing symbiote traces, which he then ingests. Alright, not bad, Sony, not bad. After being put to death, Carnage is freed, and he actually does some light killing. But it's here where things break apart for me. The first issue is that Carnage is much bigger than Venom. He also just looks like Riot painted red. In the comics, Carnage is red with black accents. If you're reading the Ultimate Comics, then Carnage is typically red and yellow. I know that this color thing is a nitpick, but the size isn't. Carnage should be unpredictable, more nimble, and smaller. Instead, this version of Carnage is so big he can spin as fast as a tornado. Yep, he can spin into a tornado! Sony then proceeds to adapt the worst parts of Carnage symbiote lore. You see, being a symbiote fanatic, I will sometimes buy graphic novel collections of symbiote events in Marvel Comics, and one of those happened to be something called Carnage Classic. And that is where I read the Carnage Unleashed storyline for the first time. And I shit you not, Carnage is able to inject his symbiote into the internet to have it pop out on the other side and kill somebody. It's so bad that Sony actually thought it would be a good idea to adapt. Watch this.
Can I help you, sir?
Got any of those internets? You're alive?
Who the fuck wrote that? Got any of them internets? At least this movie knows to be goofy, unlike the last one, but that still doesn't excuse this. Cletus then proceeds to find out where his girlfriend is and then breaks her out. Now in the comics, despite being his girlfriend, Cletus won't hesitate to throw Shriek under the bus, should the situation arrive. This is because Carnage won't put her above killing people. Sony does the opposite in this movie, and it results in a less intimidating character and screws up the whole symbiosis bond that Cletus and Carnage share. If these two were anything like the comics, they should never be at odds with each other. They are the exact same.
Shut your mouth! Marriage trouble already!
And Cletus never liked Eddie Brock. So what the fuck is this friendship storyline BS?
I'm a killer. With or without the monster, Eddie. You know what I really wanted?
Well, what was it, Cletus?
Told you, but you weren't listening.
Well, I'm listening now.
I wanted your friendship.
I'm sorry, Cletus.
So basically, in conclusion,
Fuck this guy!
I hope that one day Marvel Studios will get a proper chance to do something with the character, because despite their modern day flaws, and they are many, at least they would have the tools to make these characters great. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and stick around for my next few videos.